Today, we're going to answer one specific question. Is the life of a product manager glamorous? Now, if you've seen the TikTok videos out there, they would certainly have you believe the answer is definitely yes.
Day in the life as a 23-year-old product manager at Meta. I always journal in the morning. I then do a quick workout routine. I get dressed. I try to look cute every day.
I'm not so sure that those TikTok videos paint an accurate reflection of whether or not the life of a product manager is glamorous. So in this video, what I've done is pinged a bunch of product managers that work at a range of different companies, from big companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, medium-sized tech companies like Stripe and Uber, down to unicorn companies in Fintech, SaaS, etc., to ask them that specific question and understand, do they think the life of a product manager is glamorous? Yes or no? And if not, what are the parts of the job they actually like? So let's go ahead and jump out and find the answer to this question. Okay, let's check out the answers. 13 answers here. We've got the company the product manager works for on the front of the card and their answer on the back. And we will get started with a Google product manager who is now a SaaS founder. This one is simple and to the point. LOL, period, definitely not. Okay. Second answer from a Meta PM. Okay, this is a little more nuanced. It says there is the external perception, the internal perception, and then the day-to-day reality. External is yes, because people think about presenting on stage at press or developer events, or quotes in articles or blogs. Internally, the position is seen as useless or a glorified project manager, or maybe on the positive end of the spectrum, a valued position. Even if it's valued, mostly the job is still 90% shoveling crap. Good nuance on the delta between internal and external. Next up, a PM at a unicorn fintech. LOL. Believe me, I have one of the least glamorous jobs. Automating financial calculations for accounting software. Okay, hard to argue with that. Doesn't sound particularly glamorous. Next up, PM at Stripe. No, who's asking? It's 5% glamorous, 30% maddening, and 65% same quality as other functions. Whether or not it nets out positive is like asking a parent whether having kids was a good decision, I assume. Commitment and consistency bias lead to saying yes. This one makes me laugh as well because if you know anything about Stripe culture and sort of the hyper-intellectualism, ending on cognitive biases is sort of perfect. Okay, Uber. Is this a yes or no question? Of course not. Simple and to the point. Meta PM. Hi, exclamation mark. No, period. Definitely not. Then there's a lengthy discussion here about the CEO of the product mentality versus reality. I think really what she's talking about there is people think that they may have the formal authority to do whatever they want when they're a product manager, tell people what to do, make certain product decisions, versus the reality is you're often influencing through soft power. She has a really good line at the end. She says, you are building alignment as much as you are building product. Nice nuanced answer there. Okay, next up, PM from Google says no, period. But I think the illusion of power is what makes people think that it might be glamorous. You know, the whole CEO of the product thing. Again, this is the same thing that the Meta PM was just talking about. Okay, a PM at a unicorn SaaS company says, haha. Depends on what you mean. Sometimes, maybe, but plenty of the time, no. And it also depends on the specific company you're at. I think that rings true. It is seen as glamorous from the outside, though. More on the fence there, but generally that sounds right to me. Lots of variance from company to company, probably. Okay. A PM at a unicorn enterprise company. No, but it looks that way from the outside. Straightforward and to the point. Probably relative to the TikTok videos. Okay, PM at Meta. Quite simply, this one says no. I remember this conversation asking a few follow-up questions. I know her pretty well, and she didn't respond. So I think we know her answer. Amazon. This feels like a loaded question. I personally don't think so, unless you are at Apple or something unveiling a new device. Okay, so there again, we have like the question around a product launch and a press event, something like that. I think people do see some elements of glamour there. Okay. Google. Nope, I don't think so. It is one where when things go right, the team gets the credit, and when they don't, you are responsible. LOL. That also does ring true. Oftentimes, sales team, engineering team may get the credit when things are going great. If not, the PM is often the one left holding the bag. Finally, PM at Uber. Haha, no. McKinsey was more glamorous. These are fighting words. Maybe it's a sign of the times, but I used to fly first class, eat at Michelin star restaurants, hang out with CEOs, have someone to make my slides for me overnight. Now I can't even get budget to fly my team to India to meet the developers. I have to book my own hotels. And we had our holiday party in someone else's apartment. So I think the answer uniformly across the board to whether this is a glamorous position is pretty clearly no. Maybe there's some slight exceptions for launches and events around press where it does sort of feel traditionally glamorous. But what I'll say is I think the really interesting thing is that every product manager I talked to when I was polling them about this proactively brought up it may not be glamorous, but there are great aspects and rewarding aspects of this job. So that's what I want to focus on next and share some of those because I think those are the real reasons to pursue a career in product management. Okay, so now let's talk about the rewarding and the great parts of the product management role. Because even if it's not quote unquote glamorous, there are really compelling aspects to this career path. And the product managers I was talking to called out really 4 key categories. So I want to walk through those. And they all resonated with me as well from my own experience as a product manager. The first is launching products. I think the idea of getting to sort of create and put something new out in the world is a really exciting and really rewarding idea for a lot of product managers. And that process of taking it from idea all the way through execution to launch and then seeing it in customers' hands is something that even though that whole process is messy, and a lot of that is what makes the job decidedly not glamorous until you get to launch, that launch moment is sort of really exciting and can be really rewarding, even if it's not quote unquote glamorous. So that's the first bucket. The second bucket is the big sort of elephant in the room here, which is compensation. Even though the environment we're in today and the stock market with tech valuations all sort of down across the board is different than we've been in the past, the bottom line is that product managers are still very well compensated overall. We've got a few blog posts on this that walk through the numbers that I'll put in the comments below, but you can check Glassdoor, Levels FYI, a bunch of different public resources out there. And the bottom line is still going to hold true. And at the end of the day, people love to be well compensated for the work they do. Okay. Now let's talk about the third category, which is something I'll call being the center of the action. A bunch of the different product managers I talked to were pointing out different aspects of this and saying, because it's sort of this hub and spoke model, you get to interact with all these different functions in any given day. You get to flex your brain in a bunch of different ways over the course of a day or a week, which is really sort of exciting and engaging for a lot of people. The other thing that someone called out that I thought was really nice was they talked about, again, because of the nature of that role and working with engineering and design and marketing, legal, execs, etc., is that you get this really great 10,000-foot view of the company that would be very hard to achieve at a similar level in another function because you're just not going to have as much interaction with the rest of the company and understand sort of how all the pieces fit together. So that just sort of being in the center of the action is really exciting. And lets people engage a lot of different parts of their brain in a given day or a week. And that part people really, really like. And then the last category is a bit of a cop-out in terms of category name, but I think it is very fitting for the product management role. And I'm calling it the grab bag category. And the reason I put this as a category is because I think it speaks to the nature of the product management role itself. It is a very different role depending on the company you're in, the type of product you're working on. And because of that, the other aspects that people find interesting and rewarding about this job are extremely varied. Some people called out that they really like the UI work. Other people were talking about really loving the technical nature of the work and getting to understand how everything sort of fits together. I heard some product managers talking about enjoying the organizational challenge of how to lead through influence and figuring that out in a big organization. Another product manager called out just being able to go really deep into specific product problems and really get into the weeds and understand exactly how something works or what makes a problem, intractable or easy to solve in a particular way, this configuration or that. And I think that varied nature is a great spot to end on, because the product management role can be very different from company to company, product to product. And so understanding that there are some common threads through it that product managers love, but there is a lot of variance as well. And you can find different things to like about this job and find rewarding that make it all worthwhile. Okay, to sum everything up here, I think the key message is that internal reality is often different than external perception. And while a product management job may not be quote unquote glamorous, I do think there are a ton of rewarding and great aspects for pursuing that career path. So thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of great content coming out on the Rocket Blocks channel on a weekly basis. If you haven't subscribed yet already, please go ahead and do so now. There's a big red subscribe button below. You'll get all our content as soon as it comes out. And if you happen to be actively preparing for interviews right now, check us out at www.rocketblocks.me. We've got concept reviews, drills, and live coaching that will help you get in the best interview shape of your life. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.